Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here with you for this international conference on youth migration. Normally, a colleague from the Ministry of the Moroccan Ministry of Migration should be part of the delegation, but due to issues of availability, no one could travel with me. So I'll try to do the two presentations. That's the Moroccan migration policy and the Belgian Migration Agency that I represent within the framework of supporting the Moroccan migration policy. So the title of my presentation is the Moroccan Migratory Policy. We need to know that Morocco is one of the rare countries to establish a migratory policy that concerns the presence and regularization and regulation of the from other countries, especially African countries. Since 2013, under the impelling of the King of Morocco, Morocco has carried out huge migratory reforms in order to ensure a better integration of immigrated people and regulating the flow of migration in line with a responsible and human mechanism. So it focuses around four main thrusts. First of all, managing migratory flows in respect of human rights, setting up a framework facilitating the entry of migrants, and setting up a regulatory framework. The regulatory framework has dragged a bit because of the negotiations that are ongoing between the political parties, parliament, institutions, and ministries to have a real law on migration. The only law right now governing migration is an old law that was adopted in 2013, which no longer meets the policy of migration in Morocco. The national strategy for immigration and asylum, adopted in 2014, the specific objective was concretized in 91 programs. We have 11 programs, sorry, in which this national strategy focuses on, and we act depending on the program and the responsibility of every state institution. So the first sector is education and culture, youth and leisure, health, lodging, social and humanitarian assistance, vocational training, and employment. Presently, the Belgian Development Agency focuses on the first vocational training and employment. However, there are still other transversal thrusts. That's the fight against human trafficking, the regulatory framework, and governance and communication. So, ASNIA is seeing the various thrusts that are very important concerning the management of the issues of migration. So, to ensure the operationality of ASNIA, governance was set up in program committees that ensure the monitoring of programs in the various sectors, and intervention is in program committee 3 that deals with vocational training and employment, and our objective is improving economic integration of migrants in Morocco. Regarding the laws, Morocco Convention 143 of the ILO on migratory workers is at the last stage of ratification. A survey will be elaborated on the harmonization of the regime of social security in Morocco with international standards to analyze the feasibility ratification of Convention 118 on the equality of treatment, that is social security, knowing that this study focuses mainly on Moroccans residing abroad, that's who have lived their whole lives in Europe, France, Germany, Sweden, but when they want to they retire, they want to come back to the country, they want to come back and spend the rest of their lives in Morocco. The problem is the harmonization of social regimes between Morocco and the European countries. Currently, a convention that was signed in the 1970s between Morocco and France harmonizes this. This means a Frenchman of Moroccan origin can decide to come and live in Morocco without any problem. So the insurance fund in Morocco and that of France can settle that. But unfortunately, it is not yet the case for other countries like Belgium and Holland. However, Morocco has ratified 62 conventions of the International Labour Organization, with 7 out of the 8 fundamental conventions. That's 09 on forced labor, 098, and many others. The legal and national procedural framework. What progress has been made since 2013, where it was announced that we have a new migratory policy. So on the labor code, there was a preparation and publication by the Minister of Labor of a circular for the explanation of new simplified procedures for the recruitment of migrants. It means we realized we contacted many companies, private sector companies, and asked them, why don't you recruit migrants? They say, well, they don't know the procedure is complicated and so on. So the Ministry of Labor, in collaboration with the IOM, have prepared a circular simplified outlining the procedure to employ a migrant. So we did that so that the recruitment of migrants could be boosted. Exemption from national preference by ANAPEC, the National Agency for Promotion of Employment and Competence. We had a program of protecting Moroccan labor. Means in all countries have the national preference, but Morocco and ANAPEC exempt all migrants who have been regularized during one of the 2 regularization phases, that is 2014 and 2016. Morocco launched 2 regularization campaigns for migrants in Morocco. That of 2014, we had 23 to 26,000 migrants were regularized, and almost same for the next operation. It means that the 40, 45,000, 50,000 migrants are exempted. It means they can go straight and work. Now, regarding visa for contract, the ministry has set in place 4 offices in 4 towns to facilitate the process, because it reduces the time to process employment contracts to 48 hours. So within 48 hours, a contract for employment is processed. Equal access to vocational training and employment. These 2 themes that are of interest to us is vocational training and employment, because they are related. So some of the actions that have been carried out is the integration of immigrants, and refugees in training programs, and acknowledging of their qualifications. So there is a national training office and promotion of employment that accepts qualified migrants almost in the same conditions, and we facilitate their integration for their vocational training. Integration of immigrants and refugees in specific activities for women to help in the creation of activities, revenue generating activities. So women are included in these various projects. The implementation of a program to accompany immigrants that have been regularized in the validation of professional assets and development of competencies. So, for example, ANAPEC and other offices support migrants to be self-employed. There are many international and national structures that provide funding, like the UNHCR, Enabel, for example, also provides funding, and other Moroccan institutes, the Ministry of Immigration, they try to boost the entrepreneurship of migrants. What are the challenges and the opportunities of vocational training? Among the challenges, the very limited number of migrants, refugees that benefit from vocational training. Sometimes it's due to lack of information, sometimes because their living conditions are not stable in one city. They are always moving around from one city to another, seeking for better opportunities. And because the vocational training course needs 1 to 2 years, and it's a little complicated for them, especially given that most migrants are in a very precarious state. Lack of mobilization and professionalism of the civil society on information and accompanying of migrants. This is one of the major problems. The civil society doesn't really do its job in boosting the integration of migrants, and the strong mobilization of migrants in informal sector. There is nothing much we can do about it. They need to survive, and this stops them from integrating vocational training programs. Now, the opportunities: opening of access to migrants and refugees to vocational training. We've said that already. Under the National Professional Vocational Training Center, all these are put at their disposal, both for Moroccans and migrants. And the launching of various initiatives within the framework of cooperation projects to facilitate economic integration of migrants and refugees. International cooperation has mobilized to support the Moroccan migratory policy, and amongst them we have Enabel, the French agency, the Belgian agency, the United Nations, and so on. There are many opportunities. Employment program. Integration of regular immigrants to programs and services to seek jobs. Integration of regular immigrants to training programs on access to the market, to job market. Integration of immigrants in programs to serve for self-employment. Setting up a simplified procedure to obtain a residence permit for foreign investors. Creating an international forum, and setting up a relationship between students and companies. Setting up a portal for job offers for rare profiles. That's jobs in Morocco. We're not going to go into those details, but these are some of the areas in which the ministry works with other public institutions. Challenges and opportunities: limited number of migrants accompanied or integrated in the labor market. When we talk of integration in the labor market, it means with immigrants that are registered at the social security, which have registered contracts, because the Moroccan economy, like in every other African country, is based on the informal sector. Difficulties for the recognition of certificates and qualifications of migrants. Migrants come from various countries: Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, but we really can't establish an equivalent of their certificates, and that is an issue. Even this system is still at its infant stage, because we're not yet experienced in this stage. That's why work is being done on that to be able to evaluate and give equivalence to these foreign certificates. Poor networking between actors of vocational training, the civil society, and actors employment. Low involvement of private sector. Absent of mechanisms that incite opportunities. Opening of access for migrants to job services by ANAPEC. Facilitating of visa obtaining. Exempting attestation of activities for regularized migrants. The regional economic fabric developed and presented in this sector for migrants. For example, Morocco is developing its economy through a pole economy, that is the financial pole, the agricultural pole, the touristic pole, or the technical pole. There are many poles that are that require labor and that enable that seeks migrants to come and work in these areas. I'll give you some data which unfortunately I didn't update, which I just received from the ministry. Just to give you an idea, in 2018-2019, 32 migrants were trained at the National Employment Office. 88 refugees were directed towards training. 323 migrants were registered on the labor portal of ANAPEC. 22 refugees were included in the labor market, and 370 work contracts of foreigners were approved by the Ministry of Labor and Vocational Insertion. For the nationalities, there are Ivorian 6, Congolese 81, Cameroon 51. For registrations, ANAPEC registered 1,500 migrants this year. 127 refugees were accompanied towards self-employment, among them 10 Algerians. 32 projects were funded by the EU and an Italian company, and 3,910 attestations of activity were issued by ANAPEC. So this shows that there is progress that is being made, even though it may be a little difficult. So I would end by giving a very quick project of our project, Emudu. The project name is Amudu, and as I explained, it aims at supporting the implementation of the national migration policy. 48 months, budget 4,600 million euros. So, operated in Rabat and Casablanca. There are three. The main objectives are access of migrants to orientation and vocational training, access of migrants to improved employment, joint action of structures working towards the economic integration of migrants, dynamizing them and coordinating them. I'm in charge of result number 3. So the main actions is employment and self-employment, benchmarking, that means for contracts, we support the training of 250 migrants, we give them scholarships, and we give the company that recruits a migrant 100 euros as support for social charges for 1 year. So we aim at funding 150 migrants. Orientation and vocational training, social assistance, scholarships to assist programs. So we target 150 and 300 migrants that will be trained professionally. So we help them to follow the program. We give them 100 euros throughout the duration of the training, provided they follow it strictly. Capacity building of the program. A 150 migrants benefiting from scholarships on vocational training programs. 150 others have been accompanied for the creation of programs. Others integrated. I have a suggestion, please. This document will be sent to all participants. So on the last slide is durability, synergy, mechanisms to be put in place for inter-institutions, communication, proximity communication that helps to touch the concerned population, and the target population, considering vulnerability of persons, migrant persons, women, and minors. Thank you for your kind attention.